Hey team, today we're going to be learning GIMP, and we're going to take these files and pictures on the desktop here and bring them into this program down here at the bottom called GIMP. And like any program, once you open it up, in order to get those files in, we have to go to File up here at the top. We're going to go down to Open, and we're going to navigate to the desktop where I have the images at. And once I select my image and hit open, it may say, do you want to convert it? I'm going to say, yep, convert it. It just converts it so it'll open up in GIMP the way that I need it to. And then I'm going to go to my second image, open up my photo of an ant, convert it, and now I have two images open at the top of my screen up here. I have an ant and I have my student. Now, you can do so many cool things with this program, but today we're going to cut our student out and place her behind the ant. And even though there's a whole bunch of ways to do it, for this one, we're going to use the lasso tool, which is the third tool over. And just to get familiar with the lasso tool, you'll see if I click and then I move over and click and click and click, it forms this path. I'm making like a diamond shape right now. And I can click back to the end and I have a selection of like these lockers here. And then if I want to delete my selections that I just made, I just click on the dot and hit the delete button, and I can delete it all the way back to the beginning. So nothing is truly permanent. I can also make swervy lines. If I just click and hold in, I can swerve around a path and move it around the way I want. And then I can also go back and delete those as well. And we're going to stop right here to explain a really important thing that we need to do before we move on to any other step. And that is, when we are using the lasso tool, currently as it is set up, if I click on the lasso tool and let's say I want to cut out this locker right here, and I go to here and I'm putting my little pointer on each of the four corners, back to the beginning, hover over and just click. The locker now has become selected, okay? And if I go up here to edit right now as it is, and I go to cut, when it cuts it out, it's a white background, and this is not what I want. I want to cut out the student so that there's a transparent background and not a white one. But it's okay, because any mistake or anything that happens in this program, you can just go back and undo right away. So I'm going to hit edit undo, all right, Command Z or Control Z, depending if you're on a Mac or a PC. All right, I still have my selection here, but what's important is that on my layer, and we're going to be talking about a lot about layers, on my citizenship layer, which is a representation of this image right here, I want to right click on this, and I'm going to add an alpha channel. We always want to do this if we want to create a transparent background. And it says add transparency information to the layer, which is what we're doing. So I hit add alpha layer, and now that an alpha layer has been added to this, when I have my selection here still, I go up to edit and cut, it is now leaving me with a transparent background, and that is what we need to do. Another tool that we're going to have to know how to use for this is the magnifying glass tool. So we're going to go from the lasso tool over here to the magnifying glass tool, click on that, and if we click and hold the control button on our screen and move in and out, like scroll in and out, it allows us to zoom in and out. You can also make a box on the screen and it will immediately zoom into that box where that box is. And so getting a feel for the magnifying tool so we can zoom in and zoom out and really see where we're clicking and cutting things out is going to be really important for this tutorial. And it's okay to take a little bit of time right now to play around with the magnifying glass tool or the lasso tool just to really get a feel for how these work. Okay, so let's begin. We're going to go up and switch from our magnifying glass back to our lasso tool. We're going to start down at her feet, and we're going to begin clicking around and forming a perimeter around her body, or outlining her. And remember, we can click and hold the mouse in and just kind of drag it along, or we can just really carefully move our way along her body and try to like just do the lines that way. And then every once in a while when we need to zoom or move our mouse a little bit to move it up, we can still scroll and then just click on the next spot and click on the next spot. We're going to keep forming that line all the way around. And we really want to do a good job of taking our time here for this first part. We really don't want to screw this up as we make our outline all the way around the individual that we're working on. And let's speed this next part up here just so you can kind of see what it looks like after we've made the outline all the way around. So zipping around here in fast motion, this whole part here at the beginning probably took me about 10 minutes to go all the way around here. After we have our individual fully selected, we're going to go up to the select button. We're going to go down to where it says invert and click invert. And what that's going to do is it's going to select the inverse of the image. So we're going to save the image of her, and we're going to get rid of all the lockers and the floor and everything else. And once we have our image inverted, we're going to go up to edit and go down to cut and click on cut, and it's going to get rid of everything else. So we just have the individual that we want to place behind the ant. Remember, the whole purpose of cutting out the individual is to place him behind the ant in that image. And notice our individual still has a dashed outline around them. So we have to go up to select and hit select none, and that gets rid of that dashed outline around the individual. So now we're going to go to this very first tool, and we're going to draw a box around our individual. And this allows us to select whatever is inside the box. And I'm going to go to copy. So we're going to go to edit and copy. We've now copied this image. We're going to go over to the ant, and we're going to hit paste. And we just go up to edit, scroll down to paste, and paste her in there. We could also hit Control V, just like you do in Google Docs. Now over here on the right, you can see that it's added a new layer that we are now working with. There are two layers in this image. There's the image that we just posted of our student, and then there's a layer of the ant. And in order to get that layer of the student to stick, we have to hit this green button down here. So we hit that, and now the two layers are official, and we can click back and forth between them when we're working on them. We can also turn this little eyeball thing on and off to see the first layer or the second layer as they are in position to each other. So we can click the eyeball off, and we just see the ant, and we turn it back on, and we get our student back in the shot. And it's just a way to kind of toggle back and forth. The next tool that we're going to use is our scaling tool over here on the left side. And we need to change to our scaling tool. So we click on that. And if we just grab up in the top left-hand corner and drag down to the bottom right-hand corner, what that's going to allow us to do is shrink the image of our student so they get to a proportional size to what we are looking for. And you can kind of see over here on the right, you need to make sure that this chain link on the right hand side is linked when you are scaling the student down. So I'm just going to keep dragging her all the way down to get her to appropriate size, and then I'm going to switch over to this move tool on the left, click the move tool, and just kind of get her to where I want. I'm going to go back and forth between the move tool and the scale tool to get her right where I need her to be. Okay, so we're almost done. And we've called this the sandwich effect because you are going to become the sandwich in between two layers, or the bun. And so we need to select the select tool in the top left-hand corner, and we need to select the ant over here on the right side, the ant layer. And so we're going to draw a box all the way around the ant, making sure that we've selected the ant layer, okay? And once we know that we're around the ant and we have that selection tool all the way around the ant, we're going to go all the way up here to edit, and we're going to copy this layer of the ant. And it's really important that we get this here. So we copy this, slowing some things down a little bit. We're going to go down to where it says paste, and we're going to paste that layer of the ant. All right? And if we paste it, it's landing right there on top of the ant layer. And we need to, remember, we have to click this green button down here at the bottom to make it a permanent layer selection for us. So we click that, and now we have, peanut butter and jelly, if that's what you are, and then bun. And we got to move that ant, the bun of our sandwich, to the top there so that you are in between the two layers. Okay? So there's a layer behind you, and there's a layer in front of you, and you are the good part of the sandwich in the middle. And so now, okay, looking at where you're at versus where the ant is at, it's important that you are housed right there in between them, because we are going to start to erase, one more tool for you guys to learn, we're going to start to erase the white part so that we just kind of get you, but not erasing the ant. And if we go over here to this eraser tool, and we can just making sure, once again, you're on that top layer, we can start to erase that top layer away. And it's kind of like magical, like as you erase, you're making yourself appear. We can change the size of the brush over here on the left. We can make it bigger, like so. And you can also see it looks kind of fuzzy on the edge of where the eraser is. It's because we have the hardness of the eraser turned down. If we turn it all the way up, you see it makes a really hard line. And if we turn it down to around 30% is where I like to have it for this, it makes a soft edge all the way around it. And so I would keep your eraser hardness around 30%. And we're just going to slowly kind of erase around the ant. And this is also going to require that you zoom in. So we're using that zoom tool again, right? And making sure that we're really kind of getting in there and we're going all the way around. So I'm going to speed this next part up. If you screw up and accidentally go into the ant, that's fine. You can just edit undo, which is Control Z. And we need to get in between the headphones. We need to get all the way around and get our legs, make sure we're not cutting off the ant's leg. And we're just really kind of working our way all the way around so that our student is behind the ant, or it looks like or appears that they're behind the ant. And now to kind of wrap some things up, I always knew I wanted to bring a second student in, so you can just cut out another student if you want to and drop them in right next to yourself here, and it'd be the same process of going through and erasing the backside of the ant if that's what you want to do. And I kind of play around some different things that way. So once again, kind of same thing. Use the scale tool and the move tool to get them where you want them. I think I'm going to want him actually behind her in the end, so I can come over here to the side and move him down or move him around. But it's the exact same process that I just used with her. I'm just kind of erasing around the ant there. And then I can add text, and the text is this A tool over there. You click that, put a little box where you want to type it, and you can change the font just like any other text program. Select the font that you want. You can select the size that you want, kind of move some things around a little bit using the move tool again. And I'm just going to have this text kind of sitting behind the ant right here. Digital citizenship is not for ants, and wouldn't be complete without a little logo of our school and the house pride stuff down there in the bottom, all right, which you guys will have access to as well. To save this, we go to File, Save As, and I can open this up or save it as a GIMP file, so I can open it up and keep working on this or picking away at it. So it's always good at the end of every single class to save your document. Make sure you label it, put it in the folder that you want it to go in, or you can put it into your Google Drive so you have access to it everywhere. And then if you're done with the poster, we want to export it. So we're going to go to File, we're going to go to Export, and we are going to export it as a JPEG image. You could also do PNG, that would work as well. You're going to click down here at the very bottom where it says Select File Type, and open up, select file type. I'm going to go down to JPEG. That's what I'm going to save it as. I'm going to go ahead and hit export, and you can choose the quality or change whatever, but I want it to be high quality, so it's at 100%. Hit export, and then my file should be saved to wherever I shared it to. If I go through to Quick GIMP, it's going to say, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, yep, go ahead and do that. I can bounce all that to my desktop, and here's my image right there as a JPEG. I can open it up. I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. And if you look down at the bottom of the screen down here, you see the GIMP file that it saved as well. And I can reopen it back up and keep working on the image if that's the case as well. And so when it opens up, there's my poster with the students that I was working on. So that's it for the tutorial. Pretty fun. You can do, like I said, incredible things with this. It just keeps going forever. Hope you enjoy this and are willing to stick around and try some other things with it. You can, after you have people cut out, you can drop them into different templates. So here's an example of a background with like rocket ships and whatnot, and I just kind of dropped them in there. Here's my digital citizenship think before you post. That's another project that I'm going to have you guys work on later, and you might use some of the skills that you learned here in this. Recently, I just used these skills at a conference I went to where we had to take pictures of ourselves holding this little guy. And I thought, man, I'm going to make my guy look much bigger. So I took a picture of my little guy, blew him up, and I did the same kind of thing. I dropped him into the image behind me and did the sandwich effect with him. So I had the image of this colonel standing behind me. And it was supposed to be a small image, but it ended up being really big. And that was kind of impressive that way. There really is no limits to what you guys can't do. You can have conversations with your childhood toys and blow them up to the same size as you, or shrink yourself down to their size. There's just so much. I'm so excited to see what you guys create. Thank you for listening. And the most important part of all this is that you guys have fun while you're doing it. Don't get frustrated. We'll work through it. We'll figure it out. You really can't screw this stuff up. Because you just hit the reset button or edit undo, and we just go from there.